Hi, my name is Eddie Grabill, and I'm here with Mr. Bill Dutton for my Go See project. First off, I would like to thank Mr. Dutton for being here today to help me out with my accounting project. I really appreciate it. Um, and I have a few basic questions I would like to ask you regarding your accounting background and business background. First, can you give me a quick recap of your accounting background and what business you currently work in?
Sure. So I started my accounting work after college. I was actually an English major in college, and then I decided I wanted to go into business. And instead of getting an MBA, I decided to get an accounting degree because I wanted something more specialized. I wanted to have a more specialized skill than what I would have had as an MBA.
Okay.
And I was also really, even though I had been an English major, I'd always been strong in math.
Mhm.
So I entered an accounting program after college, and it was a 2-year program geared to um, liberal arts majors from college, um, where you could get a master's degree in accounting.
Okay.
And so I studied accounting for 2 years, got my CPA, and then worked as an accountant for a year before then moving on to the investment business.
Okay.
And so I've been in the investment business ever since then, and started out as a stock analyst, and then became a portfolio manager, and then eventually ran my own investment firm.
Right.
And yeah.
For your investment firm, does your company use an outside auditor, and does your company adhere to the generally accepted accounting principles?
Yes, we do. We have an auditor, an outside auditor, and
Okay.
we adhere to GAAP.
Right. Did your knowledge of accounting help you in your career as an investments manager? And building off that, how important was it to have an accounting degree as a way to really build your business success?
You know, accounting has helped me a real lot. It's as a stock analyst, you're constantly analyzing financial statements of
Right.
companies, and it's the really one of the very most important things that you do as an analyst, trying to figure out whether to buy a stock. And so my knowledge of my ability to look at financial statements and to understand them has helped enormously. Um, and to this day, my whole firm, the place we always start is the financial statements. And
Right.
we look at financial statements of a company, and we ask ourselves, we look at the statements to see how this company can grow its earnings going forward,
Right.
and what are the different things going on in the income statement that will enable the company to grow its earnings.
Right.
So
Yeah.
an understanding of accounting has been critically important, really,
Right.
in terms of doing my job as an analyst and a portfolio manager.
Right.
Um,
Building off that, regarding your investments firm, what are some of your main assets, expenses, and even revenues
Mhm.
for your company?
so our revenues are the fees we generate from our clients.
Right.
We manage a mutual fund, and then we have other clients that are mostly pension funds and endowment funds, and we get fees from those clients. So that makes our revenues. That accounts for our revenues, and then our expenses are primarily people,
Okay.
the people we hire
Right.
to do the work. Although we do have to buy computers and some other equipment, but
Right.
it's mostly personnel costs. But we don't end up having that many hard assets.
Okay.
The assets would be computers and desks
Right.
and chairs and that kind of thing.
So regarding this equipment, such as computers, do you pay off these expenses when incurred, or do you pay off these expenses over time?
Well, in the accounting statements, they're accrued as expenses over time.
Okay.
So there's some depreciation that's
Right.
accounted for each year.
Right.
I mean, we actually pay for them right away,
Mhm.
but in terms of the income statement of the business,
Mhm.
we look at their useful life and depreciate them a certain amount
Right.
each year.
When you say depreciation, is depreciation or other non-cash expenses a big factor in your investment firm?
It's not a big factor.
It's not a big factor.
No.
Okay. Just changing gears here. Regarding this idea of fraud, has that ever been present in your company, or have you ever uncovered accounting fraud in another company, possibly?
You know, we haven't had any experience with it at our company.
Okay.
I mean, we've seen it happen in some public companies
Right.
that we're aware of that
Yeah.
we may have done research on,
Yeah.
but not often.
Okay. Do you use any specific methods to make sure fraud doesn't take place?
At our company,
Right. Yeah.
I mean, we have certain internal controls in place, and we're a partnership, and there are 5 partners in our
Mhm.
company, and we'll often have 2 different people look at things
Right.
to make sure there's 2 different sets of eyes looking at it. Plus, we have our outside auditor looking at things.
Right.
So we do have some internal controls that will prevent somebody from absconding with money or something
Exactly.
like that.
Yeah. And going off a similar topic regarding inventory, when you're reporting inventory, does your company use a periodic or perpetual inventory system?
I mean, we're not a business that really has
Right.
inventory in that way that, I think you're thinking of it. I mean, because we're not selling items, that are in inventory. It's
Right.
a knowledge-based business so I don't think we really have that issue in
Okay.
our business.
And regarding your financial statements, do you use a fiscal year or a calendar year?
We're on a calendar year.
You're on a calendar year? Okay.
Mhm.
That's interesting. I guess going back to inventory, what would you recommend other companies to use? Would you recommend them to use a LIFO account or a FIFO account? Or do you think there's like a big difference between the two?
Well, I think it
methods?
depends probably on the nature of the business,
Right.
and you'd have to look at each business individually and see if there's an advantage to using one versus the other. So
Right.
I don't think you can really generalize.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it depends.
Yeah, that's interesting. Then my final question is, would you recommend that college students who are interested in a career of business get really like a head start, like get into accounting? Like, do you think getting into accounting will set them up for a successful career in business later on in years?
I think so. I think it can be really, really helpful, even if you're doing whatever part of business, even if you're in sales or if you're in operations or other parts of business, to have knowledge of accounting is so important because at the end of the day, businesses are in business to make money,
Right.
and you understand that through financial statements.
Right.
And I think a lot of times when people rise in a corporation, people who haven't been in the financial end, once they become managers, they have to deal with financial statements, and they look at them, and a lot of times they don't understand them because they don't have that accounting background.
Right.
And I think they're missing something. I had a friend who was he ended up being the general counsel. He was a lawyer, and he was the general counsel of a corporation. And somebody asked him, I was with him. Somebody asked him, if you were to do your education again, what would you do differently? He said, I'd take a lot more finance and accounting.
Okay.
Because he always had to deal with financial issues eventually, and everybody will who runs a business or moves high up in the business. So, and it can be really complicated.
Right.
So I think it can be really helpful. It's a great background.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your time today. I really appreciate it. I definitely learned more about your business and really the importance of accounting and becoming a successful businessman. So, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.